Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Chapter 2, The Great March of the Miners, as told by What's-His-Name from Thomas the Tank Engine, written and read by Bill Lenihan. Grumpy was inspecting the line. Right, straighten up you lot, and hold the placards up straight, and no flagging. They would be marching in support of the miners who were on strike, and Grumpy, as ever, was eager for a scrap. Irritably, he looked to the front door, waiting for Snow White to emerge with the sandwiches she had been preparing for the march. I bet she's looking in a bloody mirror and putting on that pantstick and poppy red lipstick. I should have thrown that mirror in a skip years ago, he thought. Snow White, although now past her best date, could not reach old age gracefully, constantly asking the mirror on the wall who was the fairest of them all. Unfortunately, the mirror had fallen silent. Unable to tell a lie, it preferred to say nothing. Looking after seven dwarfs all these years had taken its toll on her. At least that's what she told herself. Doc, being more pragmatic, had put her skin and aging problem down to a 20-a-day habit and of a phobia of fruit, particularly apples. Finally, she stepped out onto the path and lit a woodbine. After a few raspy coughs, she walked down the path to where Grumpy was remonstrating with a child for riding a tricycle on the pavement. It had been many years since the council had cleared the forest around their cottage in order to build a council estate. Housing for all had been the slogan, but not around here, protested Grumpy. But to no avail. The cottage was now surrounded by the high-rise flats and council houses with overgrown gardens. Right, shouted Grumpy, follow me, and with his chest puffed out, almost as far as his paunch, they set off. Grumpy felt it was their moral duty to support the strike, as they too had been miners, before advancing years had forced their retirement. A view not fully shared by the others, but they thought better of sharing this view with Grumpy. They were unable to join the main body of men who were marching to London, advised that due to their little legs, the march would take twice as long, and than which was scheduled. But truth being, the rank and file had quite had enough of hi-ho to last them a lifetime. The National Union of Dwarf Miners Workers consisted of 7 members, and a treasurer, who just happened to be Snow White, and being treasurer ensured she always had her 20 a day. The union convener, being Grumpy, had decided that they would hold their march from the gates of Aberpergam and march to Blaenant. Now, as they set off from Ricos to the designated start of the march, the plan was quickly changed by an already tired troop of dwarfs. It was proposed by Doc on medical grounds that the march would terminate at the gates of Aberpergam, where it had been scheduled to start, and the protest held there. This was quickly seconded by Sneezy. Happy was happy to go along with this, as were the other dwarfs. The motion was passed, much to Grumpy's anger. The marchers were urged by Snow White, who had now run out of woodbines and was gasping for a fag. Having turned the corner onto the main road to Glynneath, Dopey kept asking, "Are we there yet? Are we there yet?" Much to the irritation of Bashful, who, due to the arthritis in his knees, was now more bashed than bashful. So he gave Dopey a swift clip across the head, which seemed to do the trick, as Dopey went into a sulk. Now everyone could get on with shouting their slogan, uninterrupted. Down with the Wicked Witch of the West, Margaret Thatcher, the Milk Snatcher. Suddenly they heard the sound of a siren. Turning, they saw a red and yellow taxi approach. "It's that scab Noddy," shouted Grumpy as he stepped out onto the road, stopping Noddy in his tracks. Sitting alongside was Mr. Plod, the policeman, who, despite his white girth, swiftly aligned from the car to take charge of the situation. "Right, move aside and let the people get on with their lawful business," said Mr. Plod, trying to sound as authoritative as possible. "There's nothing lawful about being a scab," responded Grumpy, as the other dwarfs joined him in the middle of the road, "other than sleep. You had fallen asleep at the curb." "Oh, please," shouted Noddy, "please let me pass. I need the money. My car needs a service and I think the big ends are knocking. Come on, boys, let me pass. I'm skint, man." Now, Grumpy, said Mr. Plod, I'm ordering you to allow Noddy to pass, or I'll be forced to arrest you. Don't forget, you're already on a charge of assault after trying to staple big ears to the back of his head. Still they held firm. Right, said Mr. Plod, I've had enough of you, midgets. A gasp went up from the dwarfs. Even Sleepy was suddenly awake. Midgets? Midgets? How dare you call us midgets? And with this, they attacked. Mr. Plod was suddenly engulfed by a load of dwarfs who clung to his ample frame. Try as he may, he could not stay on his feet, covered as he was by 7 overweight dwarfs. Finally fallen against a pole, which had a sign saying, Bus stop number 24 Tunith. The pole could not take the strain and finally bent to the ground. Luckily for Mr. Plod, reinforcements had already been dispatched in the form of dye book and pencil, the scourge of the criminal classes from Forest Fach, who with the aid of his truncheon quickly got things under control and arrested all the protesters, other than Snow White, who was in the corner shop buying a much-needed pack of 20 woodbine. The dwarfs were placed in a cell on the first floor of the police station, as the ground floor had been turned into a temporary charity food bank. In the corner of the cell, sitting on a tuffet, was an elderly woman eating Christmas pie. Dot, being the most polite of the group, inquired of her, Excuse me, madam, are you little Miss Muffet? The woman looked up from her pie, a plum proudly displayed on her thumb. Don't be stupid, she replied. Do I look little? And look at my hair. You don't see hair like this every day. Not around these parts, anyway. My name's Rapunzel. Mr. Plod, having regained his composure, had sent Noddy to fetch Bob the builder. It was imperative the bus stop be fixed. How else would the bus driver know where to stop on Thursdays so people could go to Neath to cash their gyros? Having duly arrived with a pencil behind his ear and smoking a roll-up, Bob stooped down to survey the situation. Hastily taking notes, which he scribbled on the back of a cigarette packet, his builder's crack proudly displayed. Finally he stood up, having completed his survey. Well, Mr. Plod asked confidently, can you fix it? Bob, after taking a drag on his fag, looked directly into the eyes of Mr. Plod and with an even more confident tone replied, No, it's knackered, before turning and making his way down to Workman's Club for a pint and a game of dominoes with the boys. Mr. Plod was aghast. Surely the day could not get any worse, he thought, before turning only to see 14 little legs running down the street, having made their escape by climbing down Rapunzel's hair.